Well, hence again, a constitutional coup from California, and a follow-up video on this issue with Section 3 of the 14th War Amendment 8 and Donald Trump. And take notice, by the way, that he's back on the ballot in Colorado, at least the primary ballot, and certainly he'll be there, in November on the quote-unquote general election. And Maine is going to get ordered to do the same thing. I did an earlier video on that. But the Secretary of State here who did that and took him off the ballot doesn't even have a clue when Maine was admitted into this union. Only the most important issue ever to come before Congress in 1820, the admission of Maine and Missouri. They wanted to admit Maine as a free state, not admit Missouri as a slave state. Black is white in this government. That sounds great on the record. When you understand, however, had that happened, the South would have lost equality in the Senate, and these bastards could have started enacting laws 200 years, 150 before they were actually able to do it. We would have had the Civil War in 1820. That's how bad it was, and no one's in love with slavery, but the deal they struck to bring the United States into existence in 1787, it's the way it was, because we had the agrarian South and the industrial North, and a lot of discrepancies in the lifestyles in those two areas of the country. But pulling together, we were able to do it and repel any invaders that made it much stronger. Because if we had just had the North and the South, now they're going to have England going back over to the North and attacking, trying to get it back. And maybe France, Spain, and or Italy attacking the southern states to do the same thing. We would have had separate nations, and who the hell knows what would have happened from there. How important that is. In any event, bottom line here is since the 14th Amendment doesn't exist, and I can prove it a cappella off the top of my head, violates all 6 articles of the Constitution. And to learn more about that and other issues, send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com. It's not there. So even if it would otherwise apply and wouldn't, because all it says, if you engage in acts of insurrection or rebellion against the government, you can't run for office. The problem with that is Trump has done exactly the opposite, particularly with the U.S. Supreme Court, putting justices on there now who are great believers in the original intent. And if we get back to that, it's going to be so much better you won't believe it. Like I say, it wasn't perfect, but we had creator endowed rights, we had rights secured by the Constitution, our lives had value. That's how good this was. We could make the most of our own lives with minimal interference from government, especially from my hometown of Washington, D.C. Ain't not the way it's supposed to work. So we get back to there, and look what we did in 125 years under that system. Became the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. And, you're not going to like it in Asian and African nations, but look how long we've been around. China, 4,000 years. Where would you rather live? Pyongyang, North Korea. And they will, by the way, have the same democracy that we do. 3 bulls, 2 sheep, voting on what's for dinner. The only difference is they have much greater adherence, to the truth and advertising law over there. Because the last election they just had, voter turnout was 99%. Wow. Of course, what they don't tell you over there in Pyongyang, not voting is an act of treason. They just whip your ass out in the courtyard there, ain't, get a gun out, take care of business, you ain't going to do it again. That's the system they have there, but that's a democracy. 3 bulls, 2 sheep, voting on what's for dinner. That's what we have here. Everybody talks about the democracy we have. Go to hell. That's not what we want. We want the federated republic form of government of defined and limited powers that we did have. And we can go from there, make changes, and do it right. It's relatively simple. But that's how good all of this is. And if we get back to that, not only do we benefit, our children do, and I don't have any on the last of the line, and I made a decision years ago. The work is too important. Can't put a family first. I got no business having one. But you that do, benefits you, your family, and your posterity. Exactly what the framers wanted to do here. That's how good all of this is. And if we just get back to it, and we can, that's the big deal. And to learn more, by the way, send me an email, uwillingport@gmail.com, and we can go from there and take on anybody that's harassing you. And the way things are going now, I've got a new document that you'll see called a non-statutory supremacy clause removal to federal court. And Trump was going to do that in the Atlanta case. I wish he had. I would love to have seen what they were doing with that, because that's a winner-winner chicken dinner there. And I think they cut a deal with that idiot Danny Wallace, because if it gets in the federal court, case over. They don't have one. And they said, okay, you can play some games here for a little while, but you find a way to make this case go away and make both of us look relatively good at the same time. We can live with that. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. They simply can't go to trial because he's. And by the way, with Trump, he's done the opposite with his appointee to the Supreme Court. They're going back to that original intent. That's exactly the opposite of insurrection or rebellion. That's how clear this is. So it's just exciting all over. And like I say, I'm 75. Life is still ahead of me. I got looks like a good 8 or 10 years here if all goes well. And hopefully I can get across the finish line. If not, I can teach you out there how to help me, and you can teach your children and your posterity to finish the job. But we have an unprecedented window of opportunity right now. It's that good. So that said, subscribe, tell your friends, like the video, get the word out. The sooner we take action, the sooner we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.